Do you know a lot of candidates get rejected in their interview because they do not know how to approach an interview process? A lot of candidates prepare for their interview in a very formal way. They think that this interview is all about a formal discussion between them and the hiring manager. And then they think about a lot of potential questions in their mind and probable answers for that. And when these questions are asked, they try to give answer one by one. And if that process is more formal, there are very high chances that it doesn't click. While on the other side, in most of the cases where the interviews have been clicked and the person has been selected, there are very high chances that the process of interview has been more in a conversational style, where the interviewer is more relaxed, he is more engaged with the hiring manager, and he is able to bring answers very naturally when he is speaking with the hiring manager. Well friends, my name is Arun.thukral. I am a life and a leadership coach, and in this video today I am going to talk to you about how to prepare for an interview in a conversational style. Now the question is that why conversational style is important in an interview. Imagine that if you are stressed, if you are remembering the answers in your mind, you are not going to be the same natural as you are. So in other words, if you are more relaxed, if you are more engaged with the interviewer, there are very high likely chances that the conversation will become more natural and you feel more better in expressing your views, sharing your experiences, examples from your past. And then the whole process will work like a conversation. So which means that you need to get ready yourself in an interview, and it should look more like that you are talking to a friend or an acquaintance, which makes the whole process easy and simpler. And no doubt, if you are able to approach like this, the interviewer will remember you in his mind when he is thinking about all the candidates that he has seen so far, that you are the one who he would love to work with. And that makes him proud and feel great that he has hired you, which is a great select. Now in this video, I'm going to tell you how to prepare for a conversational style of interview. If you can understand this well in detail, I can tell you that you will be able to prepare better for your next interview. You would also be able to bring that style of conversation. What are those techniques? What are those ways that you can engage the hiring manager in a conversational style? And I'm sure if you look in the past, if you were selected in the previous interviews, there would have been some element of friendly conversation between you and the hiring manager that would have clicked in your selection. But today in this video, you will learn those parameters, those scientific points, those science behind it, that how this conversational style of interview happens. How to approach your interview like a conversation. Now in order to do that, you really have to do work before your interview and also during your interview, so that you are able to make more progress and make it more of a conversational style than thinking about that it's an examination or some kind of investigation. So in simple word, the first step that you have to really do is do research. Now when I say do research, you have to do research on three parameters. One is all about the organization that you are applying. Number two, the job role that you are applying. And number three, the most important part is whom you are going to give your interview. So let's take it one by one. Now when it comes to the organization, definitely when you go to their website, find out what are their values, what are their mission, what kind of rewards or best places to work kind of thing that they have earned so far, what kind of pictures that they have posted on their social media platform, what kind of awards, rewards that they have gained, because this will give you an idea that what kind of value system this organization has on its side, which you should be knowing. I've seen a lot of candidates, they just get ready for the interview without even visiting and researching the website of the company, and they just feel they just go by the name and they feel that yes, this company is very good. No doubt the company is good, but have you really checked about what are the missions, what are the values, what are the kind of product pipelines, what are kind of services that they offer, what kind of rewards they have given to their people, how their career progression system is? If you do not research all this, how will you build that natural excitement in you when you are answering those questions during the interview? Or maybe that you want to convey that why you are interested to work for this company. Number 2 is you have to really go deep into the job description. Now in this piece, you really need to go into the keywords, what kind of competencies that they are looking at. Now if you know that what kind of competencies that they are looking at, you would be able to prepare your examples, your relevant experience, showcasing that how you are the right candidate who is suitable for this role. Number 3 thing that you have to research is about the person. If you know that who is going to interview you, there is nothing better than that, because either when you are getting interviewed through a consultant or through the HR, you have the right to ask that who is going to interview, what is his name, what is his designation, you need to find out what are his hobbies, what are the interests he has got. Some people are very fond of buying cars, some people are very fond of photography, some people are very fond of trekking. So there could be many interests that this person would have, or he writes articles he has got. Once you have all this in you, you are actually having a lot of data. Now you have to look into it, how you are fitting into that role. Now we move into the second step. Now the second step is introduce yourself powerfully. When I say powerfully, it clearly means that the moment you reach the interview venue and you meet the interviewer, have a firm handshake with a smile on your face, looking into the eyes, and bring 3 things inside the room. One is energy, excitement, and enthusiasm in whatever way you express yourself. Now, this is the first thing that creates an impact when you enter and you are greeting the hiring manager. Now, imagine that if you have researched about the hiring manager well, and you know, let's say that he is very fond of photography and you have seen the recent pictures that he has posted. Now, the moment the basic greeting starts and he says, "How are you?" it's the time that you should start, "I'm great." And you can say something like this: I recently saw some of the pictures that you had shared on the social media and they were excellent. And you really loved those pictures. You really loved the place that you have been. Now, the moment you start a conversation at this point of time with this note, this will create a kind of a rapport and it relaxes the entire mood of the interview process, because there is some kind of laugh, there is some kind of experience that the other person would be sharing, and then it helps you to settle down. But imagine if the interview just starts, okay, start the interview, tell me about yourself. Now that becomes very formal. That becomes a very formal approach where you are just coming and started to give answers to the questions that has been asked. This can only happen if you have researched the interviewer very well. The third step in creating a great conversational style of interview is your non-verbal body language. Now, a most important thing that I'm telling you in any interview is your listening skills. I've seen a lot of time when interviewer is asking the question, the interviewee is just jumping to give the answers. And that's what really pissed off the other person on the other side. So first thing is, you really need to be a good listener. And that good listening, you have to give your cues in the form of non-verbal body language. So when somebody is speaking on the other side, the interviewer is speaking, you need to really nod your head, yes, acknowledge, don't jump your answers. And that is one area where people observe a lot. A lot of time, when the question is even half said, a lot of people are jumping that they're just holding themselves to give the answers. And that doesn't work at all. First, you should allow the interviewer to complete the whole question, and that you reflect in your non-verbal cues in terms of that you are listening it very carefully. Now that gives a very good sign that you are creating a sign of good conversation by respecting him as you listen to that person. The second part in non-verbal body language is you try to mimic the interviewer. The way they use the hand movement or the body posture, try to mimic that in response. The simple reason is because we like only those person who are like us. Now the next step is share relevant experiences. Now during the interview conversation, you would realize that your interviewer is also going to reveal some amount of information with respect to their organization, the new initiatives they are taking, and the new products or new services that they are bringing, or they would also talk about the highlight of the role that you are applying and what all they are looking out in an ideal candidate. Now, the moment you give a patient listening to such information, such relevant and important information, it's time for you to reflect back with similar experiences which are relevant to the role and the expectation from the hiring manager. So let's say the hiring manager says that we are going to launch a big blockbuster product in India, and we want to ensure that this becomes a similar blockbuster as it is globally. For example, this is a question this is what the information he's sharing. Now you have this is your best time to answer how in the recent past you have been into a similar situation in your current role, and you have launched a blockbuster product 2 years back, and you are the part of the launch process, and how in last 2 years the product has scaled up to its height and reached and became a blockbuster within 1 year of its launch. And what were the things that you learned out of the experience? So try and bring the relevant experience and examples in those inputs that you get from the hiring manager. Now we come to the next part, and that is answer your questions honestly and spontaneously. I'm sure when you are preparing for an interview, you have to go through a lot of questions in your mind and some probable answer. First of all, focus what do you want to communicate in those answers. That's the gist that you have to reflect when you are giving answers in the interview. Don't memorize the answers, because if you memorize the answers, what will happen is you will start reflecting it in a more formal way, which doesn't work. While if you are honest, if you are natural, if you are spontaneous in giving the answers, that is more conversational type. You are able to connect with the interviewer quite well. Number two thing is you need to think about real-time examples and respond to the questions with stories under the STAR model, which is situation, task, action, and results. When you use STAR model in responding to the questions in the form of real-time stories, it connects two people. It also encourages the interviewer to ask you more questions, and that's where the conversation become more natural between two individuals. The other person also start taking the interest, and you also start enjoying, and you also become more relaxed than looking more stressed in giving your answers. Imagine on the other side, if you are more stressed, the interview doesn't go long. It just ends up within 15 to 20 minutes. However, a STAR approach with honesty and natural approach takes the interview longer to at least 40 minutes to 1 hour on an average. And that reflects that the entire interview process is going in a conversational style. And the last and the very important tip that I want to add here is give your answers with an appropriate length of time. I've seen a lot of time people either answer too short, and that doesn't get into any kind of conversation, because you just end up the whole thing with a very short answer. Or a lot of time people start answering the question in such a great length that they don't even stop. So the response can go from 1 minute to even 3 minutes, and they really don't stop. And that just kills the entire interview process. It just puts off the interviewer from the focus of the purpose of the question. Now, what is the best approach? The best approach is whenever a question is asked and you are answering it, let's say in the form of a STAR model, focus on your story and go by an appropriate length. And at that point of time, watch the body language of the interviewer on the other side. if you feel that he's becoming restless or he is just intervening, it clearly shows that you have exceeded the length of your answer. So try to rehearse this in a way that it is appropriate and within a minute or 2 minutes at the max, you should be able to give that detailed answer, and you should not go beyond and you just don't repeat again and again the same thing. I've seen many times people try to explain a lot of points. They want to talk everything that they know, but that's not all about it. You have to really look at it to the interviewer, that what he expects you to answer, what exactly he is looking at it. If communication skills is something very important parameter of the interview, and if you speak like this at length non-stop, definitely it reflects that you are very poor in your expressive style. You are very poor in simplifying things when explaining, and if you are too short, which means that you do not know how to put across your point on the other side. So practice this, and I'm sure you are going to learn a lot and make your interviews more successful. So I'm sure, guys, if this few steps you would practice, you would learn a lot and making your interviews more successful. And if you have any question, don't forget to write me back on my email ID arun.thukral@hcnconnect.in. I will personally respond to you. Or if you want to take one-on-one sessions with me, feel free to write me back.